Hi everybody, I'm Chris Schaefer. This is Brad Rhodes, and this is the Coal River Captain's Meeting Web Show. Stay tuned. We're going to cover things like the check-in and weigh-in locations, camping, rules for the tournament, all the information you're going to need to know about fishing on the Coal River, and how to properly measure your fish. So stay tuned, and hope you enjoy.
Everybody, welcome back. Now we're going to talk about the check-in and weigh-in locations, camping, things like that. We're going to check in at Meadowood Park. It's in Tornado. Is that right? It's in Tornado. We're also going to weigh in there also. So be sure we're going to check in and weigh in at the same place. There's not going to be a separate place to weigh in. It's all at the same place. We're going to check in at on the day of registration. We're going to start off at 5:45 a.m. and we're going to go till 6:30. We're going to do a captain's meeting that morning also at 6:15. But for this particular event, we're going to do a Friday night registration if you want to. It's not something that you have to do, but you can do it. We're going to be doing that there at the Meadowood Park. The folks who are going to be camping there, so they'll be able to check you in. You'll get your identifier and everything that night. It's going to be from 8 till 9 o'clock. 8 in the evening. Not 8 in the morning, 8 in the evening, 8 p.m. to 9 p.m. we're going to do it. If you want to show up and get registered then, you can. Just bring your money and everything then. Once you get all that night, you don't have to come for the check-in for Saturday morning. You can just go straight from home to your location. But just remember, you cannot fish until 7 o'clock. You can put your boat in the water early, but you cannot make your first cast until 7 a.m. After that, you can just come into the regular weigh-in like you would checking in regular. What else?
They need to be back by 3:30.
Yeah, be sure to be back by 3:30. If you're late, it's a DQ. You got to be sure 3:35, 3:40, you're late. So be sure to be back by 3:30. We're going to go on. We're going to do camping that night also. Coal River is gracious enough to let us camp there. The group approved us to camp at Meadowood Park. They usually don't do that. So, but there's a couple rules we're going to have to follow. Be sure to bring no alcohol. Sorry. No alcohol. And we got to be sure to keep noise to a minimum. There's a lot of houses that are close by there. So if you want to come out and camp, we're more than welcome. Be sure to do it. It's free, correct?
That's right.
It's free camping. But like I said, no alcohol. And keep your noise to a medium. So if you're a loud snorer, I'm sorry. So, also we're going to cover the headquarters. Coal River Group headquarters is going to open up also that morning at 5:45. They'll have maps and stuff we can look at. They got big maps on the wall down there, so you can look at those too. So we're going to move on to what else we got to cover. Chris's turn. We're going to move on to Chris. Okay.
Welcome back, everybody. I'm going to cover real quickly the individual floats and access points on the Coal River. This tournament, maybe more than any other on the Mountain State Kayak Anglers Tournament Trail this year, is going to come down to probably who does the best research and who has the best strategy going into it. A lot of different access points. It's a lot of body of water that you can fish. The entire Coal River is open. The Coal River, Little Coal, Big Coal, it's all fair game. There's a lot of different access points. So we urge everybody to go out, do their own research, and figure out what's going to work best for you. You can go out to coalrivergroup.com under water trails and trips to find all the information we're going to cover right here. There's maps along with the different access points, how long the floats are, all that information is out there on coalrivergroup.com. So to start things off, most of the access points on all three of the rivers, when I say that I mean the Coal, the Big Coal, and Little Coal, most of those float trips were designed to be close to full day floats. Right. So you gotta take that into consideration when you put in your boat how long it's going to take you to get to the takeout. So when you start looking at that and see that some of these floats are 6 and 7 miles long, one thing I would add in there is that this river moves a little quicker than what you would.
And the times that they put on there are float times, not fishing times.
Exactly.
That's a big difference.
Yep.
Big difference.
Yeah, I mean, For example, I mean, when I started looking at the map myself personally and saw that some of the floats were 7 miles long, I started comparing that to what I know on the Greenbrier and the New, and I was like, man, those are going to be long trips. But the water moves a little quicker on this river, and so you're going to finish a 6 or 7 mile float in probably a full tournament day.
Yeah.
You know, you got to make sure you manage your time well, but you know, on that one of those particular on that map on coalrivergroup.com on the Little River, one of those floats on there, it says it's 15 miles long, and it estimates that that's a 4 or 5 hour float time.
Yeah,
so
that's not fishing float.
Exactly. So
you would be 15 hours floating
exactly.
maybe, because you're about an hour, mile and a half an hour sometimes, or a little less maybe than when you're fishing. So you got to take that into consideration for sure, because you could think you'd be there in 5 hours and you're not even a quarter of the way.
Yep.
So
yeah, that's why early 5:45 tournament day morning, Coal River Group headquarters is opening up their doors. They'll have maps that they're handing out. Stop in, get a map, so that when you're on the water, you can manage your time, know exactly where you're at all times, and you don't mess up and you're late for.
Yeah, I'm sure the person there may have a little info. You probably ask the people who are there; they can probably give you some pretty good info too. But like I said, just be sure to remember it's fishing time's different than floating time.
That's right.
It's a big difference.
That's right. And for the people that are coming that only have one vehicle and may not be able to go somewhere and then take out, we're doing a group float. And that is going to be on the Coal River branch, and the put in for that is the Lions Park access point on the map, and you will float down and take out to the Coal River Group headquarters where we're actually doing our weigh-in. Yeah. It's a little under 7 miles, the entire float, so should be perfect as far as time-wise.
Yeah, it should be.
And again, it all boils down to strategy. How are you going to do this? If you're doing the group float, are you going to put in and paddle down real fast and try to beat somebody to particular spots? Are you going to let the crowd kind of go and
paddle back up?
Yeah, exactly. It's a good idea.
Yeah, but be sure, like I said, if you're one person, that's going to be your best float, because I mean, we're going to help. If once you get there, we can help you. We'll go give some rides back. That's not going to be a problem. But that's the only one we're really going to do it on. That we'll be able to do it on with the manpower. So.
Yeah, all the other access points, you're really going to need your own. Probably 2 vehicles to do the put in and the takeout. So there'll be plenty of people that can do that, but there's also going to be plenty of people that need to put in somewhere and float down to where we're actually having weigh-in. So this is very convenient. Actually works out perfect for this particular tournament to have a stretch of water that's almost perfect for a full day of fishing. So it's going to work out really well. I'll add in there that stretch from Lions Park to Coal River Group, it takes out right underneath the Tornado Bridge, is excellent fishing. There's been some really big smallmouth pulled from that particular section. So it's really good fishing.
Tell them about the put in. So you'll need a rope.
Yes, it's a good point. Glad you brought that up. The boat ramp at the Lions Park put in is specifically made for kayaks and canoes. But just as an FYI, it is on a steep embankment. And what you do is it's basically a chute straight down to the water. So you put your kayak on there, and you could probably get on and walk down with it. It's very steep. It may be a better idea to bring, if you have some pull rope, so you can lower your kayak down to the water and then walk down on the riverbank. And you could also probably slide your kayak down the riverbank, but it's going to serve the same purpose as using the chute. So think about that. You may want to bring some rope. May make your life a little easier. If we get rain the week of the tournament, if you have mud boots, you may want to bring those. Right now, our last report on the Coal River, it was white sand. It wasn't muddy, so you're not going to have any problems getting in and out of your boat and making a mess. If it rains that week, it could get muddy. Bring some some mud boots if you have those. It may keep you from getting your boat, with mud all in it and all that stuff. Exactly.
Or your car.
Legal water, we basically covered that. It's all the big coal, all the little coal, and the coal all the way down to the Canal River. You cannot go out into the Canal River at all, but you can fish all the way down to the Canal River. And then identifiers. We're having pre-registration on Friday night from 8 to 9. If you want to come out the night before because you plan on going to your spot early in the morning, you don't want to come down to Tornado, and it's more convenient for you, you can stop by and get your identifier, and we'll have for each tournament, we're doing a special hole punch. So we'll put a special hole punch on that event date, and you can just go to your fishing spot and put in as early as you want, but you can't start fishing until 7 a.m.
Right.
The morning of the tournament, if you want to come, we'll be doing registration from 5:45 to 6:30, and you can get your identifiers there and get them hole punched.
Special punch. Special punch.
The special punch. So that covers everything as far as the bodies of water. Just make sure, again, we can't stress enough, everybody do their own research, go out, look at all the information. There's a plethora of information that the Coal River Group has put together for us. Well, not for us, but just for everybody that's using their river. Go out to coalrivergroup.com under water trails and trips. You can see all the different access points, all the floats. It's great information. Do your research, and if you do enough, you'll probably be the gods.
Yes. I think all the put-ins also have the big giant maps there that tells them where they're at. I don't know if all of them do, but some of them do have this really nice map at the put-in, so it'll definitely help too. So,
yep. So if you're putting in at Lions Park and doing the group float, and you're floating down the weigh-in, remember, you don't have to, but it may be helpful if you have a rope. You may want to bring some mud boots if it rains the week of the tournament, and that's about it. There's plenty of parking there at Lions Park,
yeah.
so
we'll help you get back if you do the group float. We'll find a way to get you back. We'll haul you back, whatever we need to do, but we'll get you there. That won't be a problem. But other than that, we're going to move on to
how to
measure your fish here just in a few minutes. So
don't forget your PFDs.
Yeah, don't forget that.
You have to have PFD,
gotta have it on.
or you're automatically disqualified.
Yeah,
so it has to be on at all times.
If you forget it, come find one of us. I usually bring some extras. I usually have a couple extras I bring. So if you happen to forget it, find one of us or something. I'll leave them there. But be sure to have it on. It's for your own safety. It really is. It's for your own safety. So we're going to take a second for some sponsors, and we'll come back and tell you about how to measure some fish. Sound good? All right.
Everybody, welcome back. Last thing we're going to cover today is how to correctly measure your fish. We've got a lot of questions on this since our first tournament, and so we just want to do a quick little segment on the web show today to go over what the rules are and exactly why we have the rules. First thing we want to say is more than anything, the club, the tournaments, the online challenges, all that stuff, it's designed to bring the fishing community in West Virginia together and to have fun. So, I mean, you know, we don't want people really, you know, stressing a quarter of an inch too much. We understand on tournament day, a quarter of an inch can mean the difference between a big bass prize or finishing in the money or something like that. But, you know, at the end of the day, the club's about having fun. So you always keep that in mind whenever you're participating in the Mountain State Kayak Angler events. With that said, let me go over how to officially measure a fish, correctly measure a fish, and why we have the rules. What we keep getting, this is the hog trough. This is the official measuring device allowed by Mountain State Kayak Anglers. And when you catch a fish, you lay it on your hog trough. The nose of the fish, the mouth of the fish, is facing the bump board. This is the bump board, the end of the hog trough. We've had a lot of questions asked over the last several weeks about one of the rules that we've implemented about the mouth always having to be closed. So let me quickly kind of go into why that's even a rule. We don't do it because we want to make everyone's lives hard. I mean, remember, the people that's judging your fish, we're out there fishing too. And these fish are not any more cooperative for us when we lay them on the board than they are for you all. There is evidence that people have provided of pictures of when you lay a fish on the hog trough, if the fish's mouth is open, the wider it is open, the more length it actually adds to the fish. And from certain circumstances, we have examples, we have some photos that we're going to show where you'll see with the fish's mouth closed up against the bump board, compared to when the fish's mouth is open, it actually adds from anywhere from 1/4 of an inch all the way up to an inch. So that's why we stress that the mouth has to be completely closed, because depending on how much the mouth is open, it can add anywhere from 1/4 of an inch to an entire inch. And so we want to make sure everybody is getting judged consistently on a tournament by tournament basis. And so the only way to do that is by having consistent rules. And so that's why we're going with that the mouth has to be completely shut and the tail has to be in its natural position and not pinched. Now, I don't think I've met anybody that's joined the club yet that, you know, would put 1/4 of an inch over killing a fish. We're all going to have tournaments. I'm going to turn in fish this year. Brad's going to turn in fish this year that's going to have their mouth open. Because when we put them on the measuring board, the hog trough, sometimes you can't get them to cooperate and they just won't shut their mouth. If that's the case, everybody, take the best picture that you can, get the mouth shut as good as you can, and take the penalty. It's going to happen occasionally, but get the fish back in the water. Don't harm the fish. Don't leave the fish on the board so long that it kills the fish. Don't force the fish's mouth shut and do things of that nature, because I don't think I've met anybody here that wants to kill fish. That's why our sport's unique, is because we're completely catch and release. We catch the fish, we take the picture, and we put them right back in the water where they came from. We don't pick them up, throw them in a live well, take them 6 miles down the lake and dump them off somewhere where they may or may not live. The kill ratio for kayak tournaments is extremely low, and so we want to keep it that way. So we don't want people to, you know, stress so much over getting that mouth closed. I mean, because it's not going to happen 100% of the time. We recognize that. It's going to happen to every single person in the club at some point. You're going to catch a fish, it's not going to cooperate. So we hope that helps as far as why we have the rule. It's because it will add additional length, and we all know that when you go by inches in this sport, every little inch counts. So we want everybody to be on the same playing field. I'll also touch on the tail being pinched. If you put a fish on your hog trough and the tail is pinched, that will also add some length to it. If the tail looks like it's naturally in a pinched position, just take your 2 fingers and spread it out a little bit and fan it out a little bit. Just try to put it in that natural position where it doesn't look like you intentionally pinched it down. We don't think anybody's intentionally pinching tails or forcing mouths open. We don't think that. But we just want to make sure every photo that we review at the judges table is as consistent as it could possibly be, and we can judge each person's photos consistently, so that you all feel like everything's being run fairly and from tournament to tournament. So I hope that helps. We have plenty of information. We actually provided handouts at the last tournament. We'll have them again at this tournament on how to properly take a picture and measure your fish. So look for those. If you need additional information, feel free to message anybody in the club if you have more questions of this. But remember, have fun. We're all here to do that. And if you have fish that's not cooperating, get the best picture you can. Let's get it back in the water so we don't have any fish die on us. Thanks a lot.